Hey, what's up everybody? Hammerheart Metal Reviews here once again. Today we're doing a brand new album review for you. My first album review that I'm doing for 2023. And it is of a band that I had actually never heard of before. And they're called Iravu with their debut full-length album, A Fate Worse Than Home. This is a one-man atmospheric black metal band from Malaysia. This album just came out January 6th, 2023. This band has released a few EPs prior to this, but this is their full-length debut. It's only 5 tracks and 34 minutes long, so it's not too much on the lengthy side. I know there was a lot of big name releases in the last week or so and some bigger ones coming out, but I always like to focus on maybe some more underground ones for these album reviews. For the most part, obviously I've reviewed some bigger name ones here and there as well. But I want to focus on an album like this because it's probably not getting the same amount of recognition as a lot of the other albums that came out. And I feel like this album should get some love because it's really well done. The first band that comes to mind if I'm thinking of a comparison with this album is Mare Cognitum. They are definitely a clear influence and inspiration for Iravu. If you like Mare Cognitum, I'm sure you will get some enjoyment out of this. I don't think this is quite on the level of Mare Cognitum. I mean, they are the masters in this specific subgenre. But that being said, this is still very enjoyable. This is very like cosmic, spacey black metal. It's got like ambient, spacey parts, but then also really like technical and progressive black metal parts as well. And it's really full of great guitar lead work and even like sprinkled in some amazing technical solos as well, which you don't get a ton of in black metal, but they're really well done here. This guy really knows how to play guitar. So this album as a whole still has a really like raw sound, but it's dripping with so much emotion and atmosphere, and there's plenty of variation from song to song as well. This is not one note. This is very much like variation, and I love it for that reason. The vocals are all harsh on here. There's no clean vocals. And they're not really too much in the front of the recording. They're kind of pushed to the back. The drums are programmed, but they are pretty well done. I know sometimes that's a knock on albums in this genre, is that the programmed drums can kind of detract from it a little bit. But the vocals and the drums really just help blend into the spacey atmosphere that clearly the man behind the band is going for. So I'm just going to do a quick track-by-track run-through. I'll give you my thoughts on this album as a whole, and then I'll score it out of 10 at the end. So the album kicks off with the title track, A Fate Worse Than Home. It's about 8 minutes long. It's got a very quiet, like subdued intro. It really just helps to build the mood and atmosphere for the song and for the album as a whole. But then the black metal riffing kicks in after and just full of blast beats and harsh vocals. The keys are used to really create this wall of sound that's pretty typical for this type of atmospheric black metal. So much Mare Cognitum influence. I know I've name dropped them a few times already, but you can hear the influence and inspiration in this style of song. There's a lot of ebbs and flows here between these like peaceful, serene moments, but also these more aggressive parts. And then once the solo comes in, you know you're in for something a little bit different. Like, I don't want to just say it's a knockoff of a different band. He's really putting his own spin on atmospheric black metal and really with some technical progressive guitar playing. And the solo right around the 5-minute mark or just after the 5-minute mark just absolutely shreds. Like, this dude can rip solos and he really demonstrates his abilities throughout the album. Like, whoever said black metal can't have shredding solos, I don't know. It can, and this is a good example of that. And yeah, the end of the song also displays some more great riffing and guitar playing to close it out. All in all, very solid way to kick off the album. After that, the second song is called The Creature. It's about 6 minutes long. I really like the slow build-up in the first minute before it just crescendos and explodes with this blasting frenzy, and furious black metal takes over after that. This is probably the most aggressive track on the album. It's pretty aggressive throughout. Just like a straight up black metal attack, but while it's still got that aggressive edge, it like still maintains the theme and atmosphere of the album as a whole. Like, it's still got that spacey atmosphere, and just all in all, another great song. The third song is titled Reflection. It's about 4 minutes long. This one is just an instrumental, but there's not even much in the way of instruments here. This is kind of just like space noises. There's not a whole lot to this other than to serve as a transition to the next track. if I'm gonna nitpick here, I don't really feel like this track does a whole lot for me. It feels unnecessary, to be honest. It kind of breaks up the flow of the album. I get if you want to put like a slower or interlude to kind of tie the first half and the second half of the album together, but this could be shortened, it could be trimmed. 4 minutes of this space noise seems unnecessary. It doesn't even necessarily flow perfectly into the next track. So this song is kind of a throwaway track, in my opinion. It doesn't really add much to the album, so that's going to be a little bit of a negative there. But then let's move on to the next song, the absolute standout track of the album, in my opinion, the fourth song, Fear and Lead. This is 9 minutes long, and wow. If you're just going to go check out one song from this album to see if you're going to like it or not, go listen to this song because it will blow your socks off. This song alone is worth listening to this album. Like the guitar work here, the lead work and riffs absolutely steal the show. They keep going back to this one like super melodic and fast riff. It's got like twin guitar melodies and it's just so amazing. Absolutely love this song. This is an absolute shred fest for a black metal song. Like I said, it keeps going back to that main riff. Not throughout the whole song, but it goes back to it a few times. You'll know the riff I'm talking about right away. It's absolutely amazing. It kicks off the song and it keeps cycling back to it. But then at the same time, it intersperses the song with this like thrashing black metal as well and more shredding solos. Like, yeah, this song is so melodic and engaging throughout. Just really works so well. Really put a unique stamp on it. By far the best song on the album. Go check it out for sure. Then it goes into the closing track titled Home. This one is about 7 minutes long. This one has like a slower tempo to start it off. Just really kind of like sprawling riffs to start off the song. But then all of a sudden it goes into like a pure thrash metal riff. And it's just great. It really picks up the pace. It's a really nice change in style. And it's very dynamic songwriting to have like a slower tempo build up, then pure thrash metal. And then it goes into just like thrashing black metal. Absolutely amazing. Keeps it interesting with these different tempo changes and with, like I said, this dynamic songwriting. And guess what? More great soloing in this song as well. All in all, an excellent way to wrap up the album. So as a whole, the guitar playing on this album is really top notch. That's what really stands out to me the most. It's got this really warm, comforting production throughout the album. Like that's the tone and style that it's going for, but it still keeps it raw as well. So it's not overproduced, and I like that a lot. Negatives, like I said, lose the third track altogether, or at least really shorten it. Make it just a short intro to a song. That kind of holds this back from being as good as it can be. I mean, there's only 5 songs, and one of them is kind of a nothing song, but I don't want to shit on it too much because that's really the only complaint I have about this album is that one track that kind of seems pointless. For a debut, like this is excellent. This is definitely a project that I'm going to keep my eye on. Can't wait to see future releases. I'm sure songwriting and transitions will get even better. It's only 34 minutes. This style of music, like spacey atmospheric black metal, a lot of bands that do this, they tend to think that you have to have like a 70 or 80 minute album. And sometimes those are a little tedious to get through. But here, 34 minutes, that's great. You can easily digest this album, rip through it, leaves you wanting more, and that's always a good feeling to have. If I had to pick favorite tracks here, like I said, Fear and Lead is definitely head and shoulders the standout track, but A Fate Worse Than Home is great, and Home, the closing track, is also excellent. So all in all, like pretty much every song hits the mark other than the interlude. So to score this out of 10 now, if you've watched my reviews before, anything that hits like 7.5 out of 10 and higher is something I strongly recommend. If it hits 8 out of 10, that's something that's even better. If it reaches like 8.5, that's really amazing, and 9 out of 10 is next level stuff. So where does this one fall? I'm going to comfortably give this an 8 out of 10. It's better than a 7.5. The standout songs really propel it higher. I can't rank it higher than 8 because of the couple issues that I mentioned, but nonetheless, for a debut, 8 out of 10 is definitely an album I'm going to be returning to a lot, and I strongly suggest you go check it out if you are into atmospheric black metal at all. So anyways, these are just my thoughts and opinions as usual. Would love to get yours down below. If you haven't checked this album out, do yourself a favor and go listen to it. And until next time, Hammer Heart Metal Reviews, out.